All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Game and Compute. Today, I've got a tidbits episode. Oh my gosh. So, I'm back into the online arbitrage space again. And kind of back where I left off. And just restarting, like kind of relearning. Now, I've talked before about, how I used to basically make enough with side hustle type stuff just to, go out party. Like I wasn't paying my bills, but I was paying them. I was paying it with my, 9 to 5 job income, but I wasn't paying the bills with what I was doing. I was just, going out 3 times a week. So, and that got expensive. But this was before all of the inflation. Like, it wasn't uncommon for me to spend like easily like $60 in one night, just because of the arrangement. A lot of times, because of where I lived, kind of closer to most things. My friends would come over to my spot. We'd pregame. Like, this was maybe 2 years. For 2 years, about we did this. My friends would come over. We'd pregame my spot. And have drinks. Usually, I wasn't providing the drinks, but sometimes I was. It was a place I was sharing. The owners of the spot had a beer fridge, and so I would usually just have the drinks there, and sometimes I did have to like replenish and like buy new stuff. And then there were some instances where some of the roommates threw a party and drank all my good stuff, and then they told me that, hey, we have all this other alcohol, so if you and your friends want to drink it. And then they're like, oh, but you need to replace it. And I was like, okay. Like, I kind of felt like that was like a bit of a bait and switch. And then I replaced it with like Bud Light Lime or whatever. And they were like, oh, but no Bud Light Lime. And I'm just like, whatever. So I replaced it with that. And they were kind of on my case about it. Because I bought it. I actually literally had bought it before I saw the text. Because I was like at the liquor store. And I was like, well, what do you guys want? And nobody was responding. They were probably busy working or whatever. And then, I just bought those because they were the cheapest ones. And they're like anything but Bud Light. And once I saw the text, once I got home, I was like, well, I already bought it. I can't like return it. So I just, had that there. And then there was some other incident where, I was drinking their Coronas or something. Like, I can't remember if I mixed it up or thought they were mine, or I don't remember, but like, I don't really drink like that anymore, but I used to kind of drink like, I don't know if it was every night. I don't know if I was keeping track, but I used to just have a party lifestyle where I'd have stuff like that in my life, like alcohol, Ubering. Like, I wasn't the driver. I was, purchasing Uber rides. And the reason why I was mentioning all the like drinking and stuff and pre-gaming at my spot is because I'd have usually 2 friends come over, if not one, almost once a week, like almost every single Wednesday night, or even on Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes even Sundays. And people would come over to my spot. We'd chill in my room, just talk, drink, and then we'd Uber. And usually, because my friends came to my place, I would get the Uber for all of us. And back then it wasn't expensive, but it was like, I want to say it was at least like $6-7 like one way. And so it was easily like $15 a night, on top of going out, and we'd buy more drinks. And then like, I had a really high tolerance back then too, so, and I was a lot younger, so it wasn't like today where it's like I drink one beer and I'm feeling it the next morning. Like, it's not like that anymore. Like, I don't even like drinking anymore because it's not fun. Like, it just ruins my whole next day. I'd rather just, I'm more of a cannabis person, in all honesty, just because it doesn't get in the way of my anything really. Like, it doesn't like distract. It'll distract that day, but it won't distract like from the next days. So, um, and I feel like it kind of settles better with me. Alcohol does all kinds of weird things to like my stomach, my intestines, everything. So yeah, I basically had a party lifestyle. I paid for all my partying, and I, like I said, like maybe $60 a night. Um, if I count, I mean, I don't know. That's not normally what I would spend, but I don't remember what I would spend, honestly. Like this was like it, before 2019, like probably like 2017, 2018, like around maybe even 2016. I don't know. It was like way back. So the price ranges for everything were different. They were way cheaper. I was getting paid way less too, but that's why I had, a side hustle income, and I wasn't really tracking it. Like I wasn't doing a good job business wise as far as like tracking it. Like the whole goal was like I just had a separate account that I would just swipe at bars and had my Uber connected to, and if I went out to eat, that's the card I used. And um anything I had that I brought in, I would just deposit money onto that debit card, and I would just go out with that card. Like it wasn't anything like planned. I didn't like reinvest too much or anything. Like it was easy. Back then it was easy, money was flowing for everybody. Everybody was buying up everything. It was easy to sell stuff, easy to buy and resell stuff. Like I feel like the competition wasn't the same. There weren't so many people in the online space. Like there were a lot, but like it wasn't like everybody was so familiar with it as they are now. Like I feel like almost everyone now can run a store online. Like everybody now knows how to use Shopify. Everybody now knows how to use, social media and, stuff like that. Like it's easier to just learn and do nowadays compared to how it was back then, even though I feel like people were pretty tech savvy back then too. But I feel like since the Rona, people kind of had to get more into the tech spaces, like especially like using software, having computers that can handle what you're doing, having a laptop, having uh, like a webcam, like podcasting is way more popular now than it used to be. Um, there's a lot of stuff that's completely changed. Even the market for stuff has changed. And kind of where I've seen the biggest difference in my life in a negative way is with the drop shipping through like AliExpress. Like I know a lot of people use it and it works well. Just for me, I have a shipping time bit of an issue. Now the last item I just tested was kind of an accidental test because it was organic traffic through word of mouth. And so I've been telling people like, hey, I got this site up, and a couple people were like, oh, like, what is it? Like, they're curious and they're like, send it to me. So I sent them the link, but I was like, yo, it's not like ready yet. I don't know if I can like accept purchases yet. It's just everything's there, but like I'm still testing it out. So what my plan was I was actually going to pay for advertising at a certain point soon. And then what happened was, someone I knew made a purchase off my site. So I was like, oh shoot, well, now I've got to test this stuff that they bought. And I just didn't like the experience. And I'm glad I found it out that way. I didn't like the experience of using AliExpress this time around. I can tell you some things I ran into. I don't feel like I was moving too fast. I just feel like, first of all, the learning curve, it's definitely changed. I need to educate myself more on AliExpress, because when I used to use it, it's different, a little different than it is now. Um, and I also think my username and everything is connected to maybe like a different version of AliExpress. The emails I get are in Russian, so the correspondence I get is in Russian. So I have to translate it through Gmail. I just translate it on Google, and that's one thing that it wasn't like that before. So I don't know. I probably registered, my profile in a whole different country or something. I think I had it set up initially because I went in and I saw like where it was like from what country are you in or something, and I was just like, oh shoot, like this wasn't set to the United States because I'm in the US. And then that was one thing. Another second thing was the sorting and filtering isn't as I remember it. Now I might be on the wrong, there might be some other site that I was looking at before or something, but I think I have like I'm not able to figure out how to sort by state that it or place or country that it's shipping from. The majority of things tend to be shipping from China, and I don't want them to ship from China. I'm trying to look for stuff that ships from the US. And the reason why I don't like the shipments from China is because of the length of time. Now, I was given a shipment length of time that was going to be up to 30 days or so, 31 days or so. And there ended up being like a Chinese New Year in the middle. I don't know if it was New Year or if it was just a holiday. There was some other holiday. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking Chinese New Year. But I thought that's what it said. I don't know. But, there was a holiday that was up until during the end of January, and that slowed things down. The payment gateways didn't work too smoothly, so I had an issue with PayPal, of course, because China, so you can't have items from China on your site unless it's more than half of the items are from the US. Then you can use PayPal. I believe that's one of the criteria. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that's one way to get approved. Another thing is trying to set up a different payment gateway was really challenging. I was trying just to get, the credit card payments without using PayPal, and it was just like jumping through hoops. And then I was like, fine, I'll just use Shopify payments. And that did seem to work, but I just don't trust it like that. Like, I've heard horror stories about both PayPal and Shopify payments. And so now I'm like, okay, well, I'm stuck in Shopify payments for now. And so that can limit kind of what you sell and limit kind of, when you get your money or how you get your money or even if you get your money sometimes. And so, so far this experience, I'm totally dialing back. I've had some down days, just kind of like dead space kind of days, just to give my mind some time to kind of rework the plan here, because basically two things simultaneously happened. I got an example of testing um, without having to market too much more than I did by word of mouth. That person actually was gonna uh, share my store and everything too, because they have a YouTube channel and there's this whole like thing. So I was like, well, they were gonna help me with sales too, and I'm like, okay, that could be of use, but I'm like, dude, like um, I don't think this is gonna work for me. Not this way, because I can't market these products, which is the next point I'm coming to, is the products were cheap, like quality cheap. And so while I'm making a profit, somebody's telling me that, the item that they purchased broke like a week later. Like they use it every day, but it's not an item where there's like excessive force or something. It's like, you know, it's almost equivalent to having like a belt or something, It's like, yeah, I used it, but I'm not like doing anything when I'm using it. It's just sitting there, you know, doing what it's supposed to do, and it's not supposed to break that quickly, So it would be like if the belt buckle fell off, and within like a week's time, it's like, dude, like that's a cheap, crappy item, like. And so I don't want to be selling things where I'm making profit and the items are cheap and crappy. And, I also don't want to spend time buying these items to test them out myself, because I'm going to have to wait at least 2 weeks, if not up to 4 weeks. So I'm kind of over the China stuff. I feel like the quality might be suffering even more so now, considering all this going on over there. That was half the reason in the first place why before I kind of stopped doing what I was doing before, when I was, in the hustle space before, and I kind of stopped. So I'm not done, I'm not finished with what I'm doing. I'm just barely getting started, but I am noticing some things that, a lot of stuff I learned, like I've taken courses and stuff, and a lot of stuff I've learned is through, like using AliExpress and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just kind of not into it. I don't want to be dealing with cheap products and returns, and then, refunds and money that, gets returned faster than the item, and then I need the return fast back to me. It's just some other little glitchy stuff that I didn't really like from AliExpress, was the information that they were sending me saying, you need to pay for this, you need to pay for this. When I know I paid and I had the invoice, and I kept it open, like it was like I guess a PDF or something. Like there was proof of payment, and so I just kept that open the whole time, and I was like, it says it's paid, and then, so that was a little bit of a challenge. Just kind of being like, did it even go through? So many things. One of the sites I was sourcing from, I don't know if I was using dropshipment. I don't know if I was using dropshipment kind of simultaneously. I think I might have been. But I'm just kind of over it. You guys, like I'm over it with this, and it's not even. I'm not that deep in it. I'm really not that deep in it. Right now I'm writing. I've been working a lot on writing, because I've got some stuff that I can sell in that way. So I'm kind of finishing up some pieces. I mean, I'll sell those online too. I'd feel more comfortable selling a product that I created myself. At least have that on the at the back burner, you know. And writing isn't that hard for me. So I enjoy it. So I've basically been writing for a while now, just finishing up some manuscript type things and gonna, it's relevant to, the niche. And so I'll be, using those. And, I also do have products to sell, but I've already sourced them. Like I'm already aware of kind of where I'm going with things, but I I can tell people, maybe, I guess this is supposed to be short, but I think my biggest tip from today, which might not seem relevant from all the complaints I've just mentioned, but I think it is relevant. It can help to stick with what you know, as an ease of process. Now, I'm not saying, that there's anything wrong with venturing out, or there's anything wrong with testing and, taking your time and doing that end of things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Actually, I think that people who have the patience for that, and if time is on your side, I feel like if you have the patience for that, and the ability to do it, and that's what you want to do, that's the route you prefer to take, then, I get it. And I think that that's valid. I don't think that I could tell anybody don't do that, because I could see that it's successful. I've been successful with that, on my own too, in the past. That's how I learned the other things I learned before, like with the cell phones and with the banknotes and with all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I learned it. A lot of it wasn't stuff that I was like knowledgeable on necessarily until, well, maybe like the phones, because like techie stuff, I stick with, I know the learning curve is kind of massive, but I'm able to kind of I'm able to kind of just like do things, based on what I know, and build and learn quickly. So for me, some spaces that are most familiar would be like gaming, video games, anything with gaming, video games, consoles, gaming pads, even like mostly with like PC gaming. That's, a learning curve I'm up to date on. So I can say that, with quite a bit of confidence. The career I went into, in the mental health space, in the social sciences, and also the experimental research background. I have a lot of research skills and things like that. Writing skills from the research, and that was a big part of it. And a big part of that, it was just kind of weird, is just like word association. I'm pretty good at like word association. And I don't know, I think that helped me in psychology, that helped me in research. It's just kind of like a bit of a natural skill. Now, I'm not very like vocabulary heavy, and I know I say things incorrectly, and I'm not like super well spoken. And a lot of times when I'm on here, it's the fatigued version of me. I'm like recording first thing in the morning, didn't sleep too well, let me get on the pod, um, or it's like I'm tired after work. But I've been working for myself right now. And this store is one of the things that I'm doing, and I think that's why I'm on the irritated side, is because I should be also considering some gratitude in this process too, because I got to test something organically without having to spend a lot of money. I was about to spend quite a bit of money. And I can't imagine the mess I would have been if I had a bunch of half broken stuff floating all over the place, and returns, and I didn't know that the product I was choosing was cheap. And that is also my fault for taking a shortcut of not ordering it myself and testing it out myself. But I also do think if I would have ordered and tested it myself, I don't quite believe that I would have gotten it. Like I would have known. Like, I'll put it this way: I don't think I would have used it myself too much to know that it would break within a week. Like, I don't think I would have used it for a whole week. I might have probably tested it, done a review on it, but otherwise I don't think I would have really used it like that. So I'm in the process of changing to, I need to stick with what I know. I'm definitely going to be following my own advice on that. Because that, takes my head into a space that I'm already familiar. I don't have to do a lot of the research work and the guessing, oh, I didn't know that, people might break out from that, whatever. If there's something with a serum in it, or if there's something with some type of fabric, or some type of a wristband type of I don't know what you would say, a coating on a watch wristband kind of thing or something. It's I didn't know that people, a lot of people are allergic to that on their skin, or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that I might not even know. And so I'm kind of not really ready to jump into something that I don't know so well. So yeah, the testing phase right now is rocky, but I do think I'm more willing to go with what I know, and that's one step. And then the second step is making sure the action is getting taken. Because one thing I notice is I'm real comfortable in the research. I am comfortable, looking up products and what do you call it? Not future, but kind of when you're, forecasting or whatever, determining what's gonna happen in the future with this, and you're able to kind of see trends. I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable, building sites. I'm comfortable with the social media aspect of things. As far as, creating content, weaknesses, I would say right now in the social media space is more direct marketing, executing kind of different steps, when it has to do with collaborating with people, or contacting certain influencers or something, or editing is a big one for me. I don't like to have to edit things. I like to create them. I don't really like to edit them. Anytime I have to edit something, it takes longer, whether that's a blog post or a podcast episode, or writing like an ebook or something like that, like a chapter or something like that. Like it takes so much longer. Like once I have to edit it, I'm like, okay, I created the first draft, and then I'm like, the second I have to edit something, I don't really want to edit it, so I probably won't. So, yeah, just actually like executing steps. I do get, um, uh, I am in the process of getting over kind of like that fear deer in the headlights kind of response of like, I know what to do, just you got to keep pressing the different buttons to get to the different level. It's like I stopped pressing the buttons. That's all it really is. Like I'm just sitting at a computer pressing buttons. There shouldn't really have to be fear behind it. Like I really don't have a fear of losing money. Like I'm lucky there. The money I'm using is the money that's supposed to be used for this. So, it's not like money that I need for other things. It could potentially be money that I need for other things. But at the moment, that's what this money's here for. So, um, it is a lot of, working on my headspace too. And then not getting discouraged. I think I did get pretty discouraged. You can kind of probably tell by how irritated I am with this that, there is some discouragement there, but I think I'm mostly past it to a place where I can actually like make actionable steps. Cause I did spend a few days just kind of being like, man, like I need a break, like I need to put this down. But it works for the best that way sometimes. It is a luxury, I know. Not everyone can just put something down. And I'm not talking like I have like hundreds of $1,000s that I can just play with, but it's like, I've got a decent amount of money that I can use, but I just don't want to use it all at once. This is probably the first time that I'm doing any form of like slow testing. The other ones I was pretty confident in and just didn't even do that and just ran with it. And right now I'm, just, developing a new style of doing things, I guess. It's 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday morning. Pretty much my plans for today. Let me see. I'm watching videos by Niche Pursuits. Niche Pursuits. He's got some pretty good videos with some interviews with a lot of successful people, and sometimes just hearing the different people talk, these are the kind of ideas that come to my mind. I was like, okay, I can kind of see what I'm doing wrong when I listen to them talking. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't actually doing that. It's like, in reality, it seems like I did this, but when I look at the numbers and look at what I actually did, it's like, no, like, I took 2 weeks to do this one thing, so it's like, in reality, it's like, does that really count, like, are you doing, giving it enough of a chance, and are you putting in the action to, get the chances, so you can find that actual, spot, like that kind of sweet spot where you kind of got everything figured out and you can kind of roll with it, instead of where I'm at now, which is kind of like I'm back to a little bit of hesitation. But part of me is not, because I'm going to go back to what I know. That already instills a lot of confidence in me that I'm going to go back to what I know. That I think would work easier to build from there than it would to keep fumbling around in this other space. Because the reason why I'm dealing with cheap products and things is because I don't know the products. I don't personally use them. I could use them, but it's like I couldn't tell you. Like, it's almost like, I mean, it's not painting. Really, I mean, I am familiar with painting, but it's almost like if I just suddenly wanted to open like an art store online or something, art supply store, and I don't know a thing about art supplies. How on earth would I be, dealing with art supplies if I don't know them? If people have questions about the acrylics versus the watercolors versus, pastels versus, easels and different types of papers and things, I couldn't tell them a thing, like if I didn't know anything about it, and then to be selling like crappy paint or something, and then like people being like, oh, this isn't even good, like it's lumpy, it's weird, it smells funny or whatever, and I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that that's not how it's supposed to smell. That's not the right consistency. This quality is poor. How am I going to know that if I'm not even a painter? If I don't even paint, if I don't use art supplies ever, not even as hobbies, and haven't used them since like a fifth grade project or something, like if I don't use art supplies, how am I going to know? If I'm selling guitar supplies and I don't know guitars, how am I going to know that, these strings are crap strings compared to these other strings? I wouldn't know that naturally. And, I'm mentioning things I do know. I mean, I'm familiar with guitars. I'm familiar with painting. I'm familiar with, artwork. I'm familiar with keyboards. I'm familiar with sheet music, books, like old stuff, like stuff that people don't even like really get involved with, but like artistic things. I'm real comfortable in that space. I'm comfortable in, you know, gaming tech. I'm comfortable in, a lot of psychological related, realms. And cannabis, of course, that's definitely something that I'm knowledgeable about. I mean, there are a lot of different areas that I'm super knowledgeable about. And right now, what I'm selling online is not any of those categories that I'm knowledgeable about. So, it's not like I'm fully unaware, but yeah, none of those things, there's not anything on there that I could see myself actually buying, that I wouldn't buy if or have had any interest in if I wasn't selling it myself. There's nothing on there that, not that other people wouldn't want to buy, but there's nothing on there that I personally would be like, oh, like I want this, So that's saying one thing. I Yeah, I know exactly what I think I'm gonna do. But it's gonna be tedious. I'm gonna need to basically do it this weekend. Because if I don't push to do it this weekend, I'm not gonna do it, honestly. Like, this is the kind of, like, certain steps I know myself, and I know that I'll drag it on for another week if I even can. And my friends are, I don't know, this is gonna sound stupid. It's like, okay, let me do this project and then go spend some money. But Um, yeah. I, mm, the funny thing is, I'll put it this way, uh, and I'll leave it at this last point because I didn't want this to really be this long. One funny point is that, the name of my store, um, kind of incorporates things that I can kind of change. Um, I can kind of change, um, items, for example. Like, say, for example, like, I'm making up names here. Say of all the things I just mentioned, uh, product products that I just randomly mentioned. I'm brainstorming here, guys. I'm not really like, but say, this isn't even like real. I'm not gonna use this, but just because I mentioned belts and because I mentioned painting, if I had a site called paintedbelts.com, and say if I was selling belts, they ended up being cheap, and I don't know anything about them, and the buckles apparently are cheap on these products. And it could change like where I'm sourcing them from and all that, but maybe I'm not willing to do all that. But I do know painting, I can change over to painting. So it's kind of like that. The name is like that so that I could, switch different categories if I needed to, and it wouldn't be completely like, what are you selling? It's like, yeah, maybe the name, you know, painted belt doesn't really make any sense, but it's like, if I went from selling belts and then suddenly started selling paint, it wouldn't be like completely like, what is this? Like, the name seems weird, but you know, um, like, the name's actually kind of really weird, but yeah. Um, so it's kind of like that. Like, I'm lucky that I can kind of take it and do something different with it without being like, but the domain is like off, or like, I've got this whole beautiful website that, would be completely off. So I'm excited. I should be more excited than I am. Uh, I don't even know, man. I got so much stuff I gotta do today. Um, I took 2 days off already during the week because that's how my week was. This stuff, I'm not even talking about anything that really happened this week. This is all coming up from like before this week. From like not this past Thursday, but before, from like before February even started. So, like late January. So, I don't know, guys. I'm feeling okay though. Um, I'm excited about this project. I'm just tired. I slept maybe like 5 hours last night. I was rested for like maybe 6, 7 hours though. I did a good amount of lounging, got some good exercise at the beach. Um, I don't know what I'm doing for today's exercising, but you know, I'm easing into the day. It's an early morning for me. I started before 6 a.m. So just on the learning portion, I just was like, okay, I need to like just hear some people talk about this, get some ideas to work with, and then roll with it. So this is kind of what I'm working with now, is kind of this new phase. I'm going to focus on quality too. So if I can't adequately finish by the end of this weekend, I'm not going to just launch. But my goal is going to be 8:30 p.m. Sunday, to have at least a couple different products up in the store. Yeah, so that's kind of all I really have to say about that. This is longer than I thought it would be, but I also haven't been posting on here too much because I've been, dealing with these other things. Like, I'm in the thick of the projects right now, so while I'm working on the projects, this project of posting is gonna be, I'll post as necessary, like when I have updates and news. Otherwise, I won't post maybe as much as I had planned, like, or at least as much as I was posting before. But I hope this is a helpful way of thinking for others too. If you need some ideas on like how to kind of process what's kind of going on, take some of these ideas with you. And I really think for myself, like talking to myself, really the actionable steps, that's really like the biggest one for me. Because like, the more I don't launch stuff, the more I don't promote stuff, the more I don't do that end of stuff, like the putting myself out there, it's almost like, it's not the same thing, but it's almost like asking somebody out. It's like, or like asking for a relationship to be kind of like at a different level than just like a friendship or something. It's like, yeah, we've been going out on dates and we're getting along, there's a good connection, but you never actually asked the question, you never actually talked about what's going on and went to the next phase. It's like, it could have happened if somebody would have mentioned it. So, you don't get to a certain distance without, putting in the effort. And it's like that with online sales too, like it's almost like thinking like you got to ask the person out. You got to do it. You got to get to that phase, otherwise you're just going to be, if nobody asks anybody out, you're just friendly dating, you're just having a friendly relationship. And yeah, there can be situationships and all sorts of other varieties of things, but you're never gonna solidly know, right? And so it's not exactly the same thing. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but it's kind of like you gotta take the step. If you don't take the step, the next level might never come. Somebody's got to take the step, and it's like customers aren't gonna be the likely ones to just like stumble upon your store. Like if you're not ranking or you're not even promoting yourself, like you can't rely on like the one customer or like the few people who bought stuff from you to spread it word of mouth. I don't know, like things can take off in any way, but you know you can't be too like have too much fear or hesitation or anxiety around making the wrong move. There's got to be some adventure in it, not gamble necessarily, but sometimes you're putting yourself on the line. That's kind of how I feel about this. It's like sometimes you got to just put yourself out there. Sometimes you gotta launch as a crappy store and have people, buy stuff and find out it's crappy and then be like, oh shoot, like this is crappy, like that's not a good look, but it's also not like 500 people purchasing crappy stuff from you either. So it's like, just kind of looking at all angles at what's going on, and it's fine to reassess and readjust and just keep pushing. I mean, there aren't that many other options, right? It's like stay stagnant or quit or keep pushing. Like you don't really get too many options. But do things when you're ready as well, but try to do what you can to get ready to do it. I don't mind taking days off when I feel like, okay, I'm progressing, like I'm actually feeling more rested, I'm actually more focused, I'm actually developing ideas versus like I'm resting and doing zero, like it's like sometimes the rest is needed and other times it's like the movement is needed. Um, it's hard to know which one's going to create more momentum and which one's going to lead to more fatigue. But yeah, that's kind of all I can say for now. I made this way long, but I also haven't been posting here much, and that's it for now. I got to get on with my day, and thanks for listening.